Well, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, call population, Sam Fisher here. Say hello, Will.
Next week will be 9/11.
Yeah, next week will be 9/11. So no 9/11 jokes. No 9/11 jokes, right? What comes in pairs and falls down at the push of a button? Twin Towers! Anyway.
Oh yeah,
What?
you like Optimus Prime?
No, we're not talking about Transformers again. Right. Okay, I think it's time we looked at the UK. Let's get on it.
Divers from oil companies located within the remains of a drowned ancient city, which once spanned from the UK all the way to Denmark. An ancient city so massive its suspected population has been estimated well into the tens of thousands. A team of climatologists, archaeologists, and geophysicists have now successfully mapped the area, which has revealed just how vast and expansive this once lost land once was. Many specialists are now claiming this was once the real heartland of Europe. This enormous civilization is now believed to have dated back to some 8,000 years ago, and that the landmass was submerged over a period of several thousand years, a submersion which began some 20,000 years prior. Dr. Richard Bates of the Department of Earth Sciences at St. Andrews, who organized the Drowned Landscapes exhibit covering the finds within the UK, says the data reveals the human story behind Doggerland, a now submerged city of the North Sea that was once larger than many modern European countries. Could these discoveries reveal Doggerland as the real lost city of Atlantis? Several hypotheses have placed the sunken island of Atlantis within modern northern Europe. Most noted among such researchers is Olaus Rudbeck, who suspected that Doggerland, as well as a Viking Bergen Island, which is thought to have been flooded by a mega tsunami following the Storegga slide in 6100 BC, is the real location of Atlantis, a proposition he put forward all the way back in the 1600s. Some have proposed the Celtic Shelf as a possible location, and that there is certainly links to Ireland. Many places have been put forward for the possible location of the sunken city throughout the years, yet none have revealed ruins worthy of such claims, many of these areas being too small to have housed such an enormous city. Doggerland, however, fits the bill. Not only could it turn out to be the largest ancient civilization found on Earth, but it also rests in a possible location based on historical research for the city of Atlantis. It was submerged at one point in its history, and it is revealing astonishing ruins of a once great and presently unknown civilization. Dr. Bates, a geophysicist, said Doggerland was the real heartland of Europe until sea levels rose to give us the UK coastline of today. We have speculated for years on the lost land's existence, from bones dredged by fishermen all over the North Sea, but it's only since working with oil companies in the last few years that we've been able to recreate what this lost land looked like. When the data was first being processed, I thought it unlikely to give us any useful information. However, as more area was covered, it revealed a vast and complex landscape. We have now been able to model its flora and fauna, build up a picture of the ancient people that lived there, and begin to understand some of the dramatic events that subsequently changed the land, including the sea rising and a devastating tsunami. The research project is a collaboration between St. Andrews and the universities of Aberdeen, Birmingham, Dundee, and Wales Trinity St. David. I will keep you posted on their future discoveries. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, take care.
What?
Can I go to the body?
Right, we'll go over there then. We've only just got here. Right. What you've just watched is a video from a channel called Mystery History. Great channel. Don't agree with everything they do, but obviously this one I do. It's about a subject that I'm looking into myself, that being Doggerland. Now, alright, the history of the UK in general, but also of Ireland, is extremely old. It's very noticeable and very easy to connect ties to the Black Sea region, and that's because of Georgia. Now we know from the last episode that Georgia is has the same patron saint as the UK, well as England has the same same kind of Arthurian-like legends, similar mythology and legendary stories to the UK and also to Ireland as well. Now, Ireland we'll get to next time, because this is going to be a two-part episode. I'm just going to focus mostly on England and a little bit on Scotland, but mostly on England and Doggerland. Now,
You're a dog.
not that kind of dog. Now, as that video mentioned, there's been quite a sizable city found in the North Sea, and that was part of Doggerland at one time. We'll probably find that there are several of those. Doggerland was a very it was a very advanced culture, a very advanced civilization, from what we can tell from folklore and legends and myths, that they had some sort of high technology. And it was likely the Doggerland culture that also seeded the ones in the Black Sea, like the errata, yeah, mostly the errata. And like I said, we know this through the similar legends in Georgia to the ones that are in England. Now, Doggerland pretty much was sunk around, what? We'll go down there if you want to go down there. I'm staying here. Around 20,000 years ago. That video says 8,000. It wasn't 8,000. It wasn't 8,000. The final remnants of it were covered over around 20,000 years ago. And we know this because of an undersea landslide that happened off the coast of Norway. Basically, a massive chunk of Norway's coast fell off into the sea and caused a huge tidal wave that wiped out most of the UK and covered up the rest of Doggerland that was at that time just a tiny island. It was actually slowly becoming the English Channel more and more from around 50,000 years ago, which is when the first lot moved, I believe, and then started to make their way across Europe, across Scandinavia, towards the Black Sea area. And when that tidal wave hit, that sent the rest of them over to the higher regions of northeast England, Scotland, and also to Ireland. I think the lower lands were completely flooded over and probably killed everyone off. That's just a theory of mine. It may not be right, but that's just a theory of mine. But we'll get to that more when we talk about Ireland. England has some very strange, very anomalous sort of aspects to it that aren't very well known to a great many people. Let's look at Hangman's Forest in Kent for an example. In Hangman's Forest, there was, I think they were mining, I can't remember. But a guy accidentally found, whilst he was digging into the earth, a hole that went about 20 foot down, that was cut into the chalk. And it looked like I had a ladder cut into it, yeah, cut into this tube that went all the way down. Down at the bottom of it was a huge chamber. This was one of about 50 that they found just in this little sort of, I think it's got a few acres of land, yeah, of this forest that they found there. No one knows how exactly they were carved, but they know they were carved because there were tool marks all over the place. But where did all that rock go? Where did all that chalk go? Yeah. Why were they dug in the first place? Because there was nothing found in them, apparently. this kind of megalithic project puzzles mainstream archaeologists and academics, yeah? Mostly because, as far as they were concerned, they were Stone Age hunter-gatherers. For some reason, they can't accept that they weren't. Yeah, I don't know why it is, but they can't accept that they weren't, or that they had pretty high technology. A good example of this, right, of how technological they were. St. Michael's Mount off the coast of Cornwall, right? It is supposedly one of the locations that is Jack the Giant Killer's grave, yeah, where, I don't know if you've heard the story of Jack the Giant Killer. It's where basically the story of Jack and the Beanstalk comes from. It's a very, very, very old legend, English legend. He's tied to the another legend of the Duke of Lancaster. Apparently Jack was the Duke of Lancaster. Also to Arthurian legend as well. He's another guy that was taught and brought up by Merlin. Some say that he was King Arthur, some don't. I'm in two minds, I'm not entirely sure which one. But all of that mount, all of that island, right, St. Michael's Mount, was built. It's man-made, St. Michael's Mount. It was man-made, like I said, first of all to cover the giant that, the first giant that Jack killed, yeah, that Jack killed. And he wanted to be buried with his greatest trophy, supposedly, yeah? So that's why that mount was built, yeah? To cover that grave. But that's not the only man-made island, yeah? Strange, anomalous sort of man-made island. What? Oh, we're going that way, okay, go on.
The mud.
Oh, the mud. No, we're not going that far. Go on, yeah. We're just going to make some tea. You see, man-made islands are a pretty big thing in the UK. Most of them aren't really that well known. Mostly because academics and archaeologists don't want you to know about them, because they fuck with the timeline. Yeah? It don't make sense for hunter-gatherers to build something like that. Take Coniston Water in the Lake District. Now, it's a bit sort of hit and miss whether the actual lake itself, yeah, well, it's not a lake, it's a water, but that body of water itself, right, is in fact a man-made lake. And the reason being is because for a lot of the time it's perfectly flat, that water.
Ducks.
Yeah, it's why they use it for water speed records all the time. Yeah, I know, I can see. Pardon me. And this is because the actual sort of the ground, yeah, the lake bed is actually flat as well, yeah, perfectly flat. So then you got to think, well, how is that? Now, yeah, it could have been done by a glacier, right? Fair enough. Okay, yeah, I'm not opposed to glaciation. That calls it like making a lot of sort of the landmarks that we see, the natural landmarks that we see around the world. But the islands, yeah, that are in the middle of Coniston aren't natural.
Go that way, Dad.
Yeah, you go that way then. Aren't natural by any stretch of the mark. The rubble piles. Now, the thing is, right, academics, when they discovered this, they turned around and they said, oh, well, obviously these Neolithic people just carried stones out in boats and dropped them. Yeah? Okay. Wouldn't that take a while? Why would they do that? What's there? Well, then you start to notice that this supposed pile of rubble, quite uniform. Right. The blocks are all the same size. Why are they all the same size? Why are they placed there in the first place? It's not just one, there's two. Yeah? Think of Coniston Water? Yeah, two. So why were they making islands? What were they making islands for? How did they make islands? Yeah? Because the depth of the lake, right? The amount of stones used would take quite a few people, quite a number of years to make that island. And if they were trying to make it in an emergency, like these people supposedly they were, right? they'd probably all be dead by the time they made their island. So why'd they do that? Very strange stuff. That's not the only one though. Yeah, like I said, it's Coniston, St Michael's Mount. There's also the Gower Peninsula in Wales. Now this isn't just an island, yeah. It's a huge sort of section of Wales, right? Coastal Wales that's in actuality very likely man-made. Why?
Yeah.
What for? Well, you see, this is something you just don't know and just don't tell you. Because they can't work it out. They can't work out how they did it either. Yeah? This becomes a common theme with the UK, yeah? There's a lot of strange things, right? Now, British legendary history is full of magical sort of figures turning up, yeah? Strange lands, yeah, in far off places. A lot of our folklore is also kind of based around Viking folklore as well, mixed into ours, yeah. There's a lot of talk of the Northmen, yeah, in English sort of folk tales and English legends. Yeah, I mean you get people like Beowulf and everyone else. Yeah, he was a Northman. He came from the north. Yeah, came from the north. Don't those guys live in the north? Vikings. They're pretty far north if I remember right. So why are they talking about Northmen? What the hell? What's that about? Where are you going? Well, we're going that way. All right. What the hell's that about? Yeah. Then you read Jack the Giant Killer, right? Now I recommend everyone read that. Yeah. I've got it on. I'll leave a link to the post I did. Well, we're not going that way. Well,
it's a warehouse.
It's a warehouse. Well, yeah, it was. I think it's not anymore. I'll leave a link to it on the post that I did on it. Yeah. On Telegram. It's just the entire story, so you can read it for yourself. But there's several versions of that tale. Yeah. Some older than others. The one that's on my page is it's one of the older ones, one of the oldest ones. I'll just wipe it off like that, there you go. Right. It's one of the oldest ones.
I got a fly on my arm.
Right. But the tale itself is likely around 6,000 years old. Yeah. At the earliest, probably, maybe. Yeah. But it's really, well, that's what they say. And the reason why they say this is because we know, right? Academics know as well that Jack was a real guy. This is how freaky it gets, you see. Yeah. Jack was a real man. A real figure from our prehistory. Yeah. We know this because his tales are everywhere, right? Just like Arthur. We know Arthur was real, but we can't find where he was. Yeah. But we know it was a real figure. We're just not sure when from or where he was from. But we know he was real. The reason why we know he was real is because of the different sort of cultural references all over the UK, right? The same is said for Jack. This is also why some academics think that maybe Jack and Arthur were the same person, right? Now, Jack was literally a giant killer. That's what he's famous for. Yeah, he became in some variations of the legend he became king. Yeah, King of England. In other variations of the legend, he just helped the King of England to get rid of these giants. Yeah. So who were these giants? Well, this is another thing where you get more variations on the same theme. Yeah. in some variations, these giants were our former rulers. Yeah? Yeah. In other variations, these giants were our slaves that revolted, right? See how the tables are turned in that? In other ones, it's a mixture of the two. Yeah, they were our rulers at one point, we defeated them, and then they became our slaves, and then they started revolting again, and then we had to fight back against them. In nearly all of them, though, the giants built most of the UK, yeah, most of the British Isles.
It's like a jungle.
It is, yeah. Why do I say that? Because they supposedly built certain areas, yeah, or added to certain areas of the UK to make it bigger and make it more habitable after a flood. See where this is going? Now, these same sails, right, they extend up past the border into Scotland as well, into the Highlands. We have again variations along the same sort of theme. Yeah, I know, yeah. It's building. In fact, that's a scrapyard, I think. But anyway, come on, carry on. So, you have this, right? Now that's just Jack, yeah? But then you get the St. George legends, right? St. George and the Dragon. Now this legend again is a lot like Jack, yeah? It has so many different variations, so many different sorts of themes involved, yeah? From the medieval to the more ancient versions of the tale. And it's the same with Georgia, yeah? In fact, Georgia has different sorts of takes on a few things here and there, but it is roughly the same sort of thing where George is tasked with defeating a dragon. To defeat this dragon, he needs a weapon. So, it sounds a lot like Arthur as well, yeah? The Arthurian legend, but he needs a weapon, so he needs to go and find this weapon of immense power that is powerful enough to kill this dragon.
We're almost out.
What?
We're almost out.
There we are. The Georgian legends speak of exactly the same, except, like I said last time, it talks about 8 people coming across the Black Sea on a boat, destroying this mountaintop, placing something inside this mountain, and then building the mountain around it. Yeah, and this is that mountain in Kabardino-Balkaria, where that shaft is, right? But then there's more. There's more, right? I'm going to play you a clip, and it's of this this panel. From the Alternative Research Conference, right? Around 2010, I think. One that Michael Sarian was at. But it's not Michael Sarian that we want to listen to. It's the guy that sat on the panel with him talking about the sword in the stone, what that could be. Yeah.
History with Judea and Syria, linking it with the story, the New Testament story. And I think the story of Excalibur is no different. So I'm thinking here, just for a minute, the sword in the stone story. Excalibur was actually in the Vulgate cycle. It's called Caliburn. It's not called Excalibur. And Caliburn is actually a Hebrew word, which means sword. So we know perhaps the direction in which this sword actually came from. Now, in slightly later eras, 3rd century, about 220 AD, there was this strange emperor that came from the east, a Nazarene called Elagabalus. I'm not sure if you've heard of him. He became emperor of Rome in about 220 AD. He was a priest of the Elagabal. I'm not sure if you've heard of that before. The Elagabal was the sacred stone. And the sacred stone was most people think it was a meteorite. It was a magnetic meteorite. And Elagabalus took it to Rome and housed it in a special new temple he built in Rome. And it was worshipped there by him and his immediate courtiers. Now, this was a magnetic stone. And you can imagine, if it was highly magnetic, if you put a sword against this magnetic stone, it would get stuck on the magnetic stone, and you would not be able to withdraw it. But if you were clever, and you had a non-ferrous sword, you could put your non-ferrous sword against the stone, and you could withdraw it very easily. And I think perhaps this is the origins of the sword in the stone story. What happened to this stone? We don't know. Elagabalus was kicked out as emperor. He was murdered after about 7 years or so. And the Elagabal, the sacred stone, goes missing. And the Elagabal, I have to add, was linked very strongly with the phoenix as well. And it goes missing. They think it went back to Syria. I'm not so sure. I think it was something to do with the Temple of the Zodiac I was talking about in the in the fortress at Diwa in Chester. I think it might have been housed there because the story...
Right. See what I mean? You also understand why I didn't want to say the name of this thing, because it's one of them, right? Now, this sword that he describes, the sword in the stone idea.
Weak bridge.
It is, yeah. I think it's the same thing that was in get away from the road, the side of the road. It was, it probably still is in Kabardino-Balkaria, yeah? Well, underneath the Black Sea, sorry. Kabardino-Balkaria is actually the mechanism that sort of uncovers it, yeah? Anyway. What he's describing is some sort of crystal, I think. And like I've said in other episodes of the series, it's very likely lapis lazuli, yeah? And it, like I said, it's a control mechanism.
Where are you going?
We're going this way, because we need to get back and make some tea. Now, the sword, in my opinion, I may be wrong, is the weapon that's up there. Strikes like a massive iron sword, look, it's like a massive sword. Now, I think this is an actual orbital beam platform, right? This is the Black Knight satellite. That's the sword that's in the stone. And the tablets of destiny. Oh look, rabbits! Wow, not seen. Tiny ones. Anyway, the tablets of destiny, which are these lapis lazuli. No, we'll keep going. We'll keep going. These lapis lazuli tablets, yeah, are the control mechanism.
I'm hungry.
I know. We're going to get some tea when we get back.
Well, that's have it.
I know, yeah. They're not gonna find these. Oh, look! See there, babies. They're not going to find the sword in the stone in England because it was never there in the first place. It's always been under the Black Sea. It likely serves a dual purpose as well. One is a weapon, one is a gateway of sorts. Dimensional one. And we'll get to why that is in the next episode, yeah? In the next part of this. Anyway, like, share, subscribe. What?
Dad used to have Optimus Prime.
I did, yeah, I used to talk about Transformers again. Like, share, subscribe.
You know the drill.
You know the drill.
See you later.
Yeah.